Hi, this is Joanne Morris with the Newburyport Documentary Film Festival. I'm here interviewing Chis Del Rio from the short film For Ismet. And we have two people who also are in the film. These are Ismet's children, and I want to welcome you. They're Laris and Minela. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks
Yeah,
for
thank
having
you.
us.
Great, thank you. So I want to start with a question for Chris. How did the film come to be made? What started the whole process? What brought the idea to your head?
Sure. Well, it was actually the family's idea. Ismet worked for a plumbing company for about like 20 years. Minela and Laris, if I get anything wrong, let me know. He worked for a plumbing company for 20 years, and when he was retiring, they made a video for him, like a goodbye video, which was really inspiring. And they showed it to me. And they approached me saying basically we would like to sorry, I should give you a little bit more context. At the time, Ismet was undergoing stomach cancer, and it was kind of progressing not so well at that point. Mm-hmm. So, the family wanted to have some kind of document to keep, Ismet's story alive. And yeah, that's basically when we started a conversation about whether, we could make some kind of video about Ismet. And it kind of just started going from there.
Right. So you do have a personal connection with the family, is that right?
Yes, that's right. So Laris is my brother-in-law. Wasn't at the time, but now he's my brother-in-law.
So having that connection, did it make the filming easier or harder as you knew that person?
I mean, I think, in some ways it definitely made it easier because there was already trust between us and the family. My parents helped me produce this, so it was very much a family project. So I think that kind of trust was already there, and Ismet felt very comfortable with us. So in that regard, it was easy. At the same time, I felt a bit more pressure to do this the best I could because it was for, my family. And emotionally, I think it was a lot harder in some ways as well, being so close to the subject. But also more rewarding, I think, for that reason. I mean, I got to know Laris, Minela, Larissa so much better throughout this process, and I feel a lot closer to them in part because of, we went through this process.
So I'm going to go over now to the kids and talk a little bit more about Ismet. And I understand, so you mentioned he worked at 128 Plumbing. How many years did he work there?
I think since we arrived, like 6 months
Really?
into arriving into the United States until retirement. But he never really retired, he still helped out. He was very active for the for the younger generation, when he got sick, the owner of the company and had him around, for smaller projects, just as an inspiration, for the personality, you know what I mean? And he never really retired. They always had him around. So I believe since 6 months after we arrived to the U.S.
Yeah. That's amazing. And so it was a retirement video. So was it shown at a celebration or just shared with the employees?
Yeah, it was
video. Go ahead.
Shown at it was shown at a holiday party in 2016, I believe, for Christmas. They had a holiday get together, and it was shown then.
So were you two part of the editing process? Did you see the footage, or were you, not part of that and only saw it after it was completed?
Very little. We wanted to have Chris do her thing, and then she did a fabulous job. I mean, it's a beautiful piece, and we let her do her thing, and everybody was, we're waiting to see a little bit bits and pieces of it, but we were there. Whatever was needed, we helped with, and then let her do her thing to get the masterpiece ready.
So has it been shown in the community? Have you had other screenings with it?
So we had one screening. I actually showed them a little bit of a longer piece than it is now. about a year ago, I think, Laris, like in October last year.
Yeah, so we hosted a little event at the former place where I used to work, in a function hall, like very close family and friends, and we had a showing which was, I mean, beautiful and very emotional. So it was,
I can imagine.
we had a great time. I mean, it was a nice little event.
So I understand the story that you have been in the U.S. for more than 20 years, but the film does touch on the challenges when you first arrived in the Boston area. Did it take a long time to get comfortable, or was it easier for you as children?
Minela, you want to start, or you want me?
How about Minela?
Start. So we came to the U.S. on November 30th, 1999, and we didn't really know anyone. We came here with some suitcases, and none of us really spoke English. I think the extent of our English speaking was Laris having studied English in school, but I don't think any of us were really conversational at that point. So it was very hard, and we came here through a refugee immigration program, and it was difficult. I think for me, I was 10 years old, turning 11, and I started school on January 3rd, 2000, in the 5th grade, and I think I spent the first 6 months crying every morning and every night. And that's hard to relive. And, my mom still relives that to this day when she thinks about how far we've come. But it was just, we grew up in Germany, and then we started school in Lynn, Massachusetts, a very diverse city. And there was just a cultural shift too that we weren't really accustomed to, and not speaking the language, not being able to make friends, and being the outsider, not understanding anything about the school system here either. It was just very difficult, and I think for my brother it was, I think, even harder because he's 5 years older and he had a very established group of friends in Germany that he left. And, they're still close to this day, but, those were his people. Those were the people that he left behind. So I think, I'll turn it over to him, but I think for me, it was very difficult, but I think for him, it was even harder.
Laris, do you want to comment, add to that any further?
No, I mean, Minela is completely right whatever she said, and in the beginning, I mean, it took a while for me. I mean, I was like, was 16 years old, and friends, I had to leave school. It was a tough start. Hence why I think our best friends at that time was mom and dad and my sister. So brought us even closer as a unit, as a family, because like Minela said, we didn't know anybody. We had to dig our. It was like a new beginning, new birth. We starting over in a country that completely new customs, culture, and from scratch, with a few suitcases and 2 plastic bags with some of the documents. When we arrived to JFK, that day, you won't forget, it was a tough start, but here we are today.
I know Lynn is known for its immigrant population, and I was curious about that. I think it's very diverse. Did they have a lot of services when you arrived? Is it something there were people reaching out or supporting you?
I mean, there were some offered, but we never, and there was that pride. My dad particularly, he says, look, this is how we lived before, this is how we're going to live here. We're going to acclimate and fit right in. We're going to look for work. We're going to, live like we used to live, through hard work. And we don't need any help. Thanks God. He said, we don't need any help. Let the help and all that for other people that need it more than us. So hence why right away we jumped into looking for an apartment right off the bat. And my dad, that's when he was looking for work. And shortly after, it was 128. I mean, he started off, he was one of the pioneers.
Really?
He was one of the pioneers in that company, and not too less to say. I mean, my wife and I went over to the owner's son a few days ago because his little daughter has birthday. And, we talked about the company. They have a remote office right now. When my dad started in the company, it was about less than 10 people. Now, today, they have 86 employees.
Really?
I mean, they have grown. It's crazy, It's good for them, I'm proud that they're a great family.
We just want to talk about when your dad was first looking for work. How did he get employed at 128?
So it's a funny story that I never really knew until right before he passed away. He actually found out about this company, and I think one day he just showed up, and he basically saw the owner, Dave, and he said, "Look, I can do this. I may not, know the language or know all the metrics in English, but I can do this job. I'll work for free for a few months. If I do a good job and you like what you see, you hire me." And that was basically their agreement. And I remember Dave always talking about how he would see this guy running around, and he was tireless, and he would just, he would never take a break. He'd be the first one in, last one out. And, that's something that sticks out in my mind about my dad, is that, wow, I knew he was a hard worker. I just, I was 10 years old and I didn't know that it was to that extent. So that's something that is near and dear to my heart about who my dad was.
That's terrific. Do you have a connection still in Bosnia? Do you keep in touch with relatives and friends?
Yeah, definitely. The majority of our family is split between Bosnia and Germany. My dad has one sister in Bosnia and two in Germany. So we're a very tight-knit, close family. And we definitely get over there as much as we can.
Is there a large Bosnian community in Lynn?
I wouldn't say, there is, but I think in the suburbs, in the Boston area, there is, I believe, 8,000 to 9,000 people, but they're scattered all over the Boston area.
And I was also looking up Lynn, and it mentioned it's known now, it's had a resurgence and known for its public artwork, especially these murals. And I realized I've seen that because I was commuting to Cambridge, and the commuter train goes right through Lynn, and these amazing murals on the buildings. So I think they're very encouraging to the arts in that city.
I agree. I mean, Lynn, we heard stories, prior, during the Cold War, Lynn was a hot ticket, It was a very, very good city to live in. And then things changed a little bit around. But to tell you the truth, we lived here in Lynn for almost 21 years myself. And I like Lynn. I had honestly never had an issue, and Lynn has come a long way. There's a lot of construction happening. It's every city has its ups and downs, but 10 minutes down at the street, you have the beach. People pay money to go see the beach, and we have it right down the street. Yeah. So I really am a proud citizen of Lynn.
Yeah. We happen to have a close tie with Lynn, our film festival. We partner with this group called Raw Artworks. It's a youth arts program for kids 8 to 19, and we do a student showcase. And we're doing one this year with them on Friday, September 25th. I put a plug in for that, but I think that's great. And your film, For Ismet, is part of a shorts block with 3 other films, and one of the other films is also takes place in Lynn and has to do with South Asian families in Lynn and trying to remain in this country. They've been here and they're struggling with deportation, so very serious issue. I did want to ask, so how is your mom doing?
Mom, I mean, she lives down the street, a couple of minutes away. She's, you know, has her moments. You know, it's tough to be alone. You know, loneliness is very bad, especially, you know, when you get into age a little bit. But I mean, she has come around. She's much happier lately because we have a 4-month-old daughter.
Oh, you do?
And
Congrats.
she's a proud, thank you very much. So she's a proud grandmother. She's very active. I mean, both sides, you know, this is my in-laws. I mean, they're great help. You know, it's changed things around, you know, but there are moments, particularly when there's anniversaries, birthdays, projects around the house, where definitely she misses my dad, or, you know, when she sees, you know, the other day I went over next door to help her out, shingles off of her roof were moving or falling down. And, you know, that stresses a person out, you know, and so I was like, don't worry about it, I'll be right over there. So I went and fixed it. I was like, there you go, nothing happened, it's fine, you know. So we tried to keep her occupied and over with us as much as possible, but, you know, it's not easy, you know, after almost 40 years being together.
Wow.
You lose that piece. It's definitely has its consequences.
Nice. So I'm going to close with a question for each of you. See how we do. So I know in the film, a big part of it was that you really wanted to live up to his legacy, to Ismet's legacy. And can you think of some ways how you've done that? How's that going? What do you do to keep his spirit alive? We'll start with Laris.
I think, I mean, his spirit is always everywhere around, you know, like it feels like he's always with us. I mean, besides the pictures and all that, like everything reminds particularly me of him. Like every day I work in Burlington. Every day that I drive to work, 95% of the time, I see always a 128 plumbing truck, either one or the other direction of 95. So that, it's like a good morning, son, I'm with you. So it's, in his legacy, you know, you know, I define that as classic. He was a classic example of a citizen, of a father. So you don't forget that. Always with us.
Thank you. Did you want to add, Minela? It's not an easy question.
No, it's not an easy question. I think for me, when you've been through as much as we have in, you know, our lives, you tend to view the world in more of a negative lens. You know, you tend to be more cynical about things sometimes. And the way that I try to remember my dad every day is I think about what would he do in this situation. He was an eternal optimist in terms of being positive. And, you know, I remember when we battled cancer with him for a year and a half, you know, he went through so many treatments. I think, you know, over 33 chemo treatments, and he would bounce right back and go to work the next day. You know, he never let anything hold him down, and he was relentlessly positive through every negative experience in his life. Each day I try to take a step back and think, okay, what would he do in this situation? How can I put a more positive spin on this? And, you know, how can I help others the way that he would want me to? And that's really how I try to keep his legacy alive, is just, you know, being more positive and trying to help others as much as I can.
Thank you. I just want to end and thank Chris for joining us and for bringing us this wonderful film. Congratulations. And just wondering, Chris, what's next? You working on another film, or are going to take a rest?
Yeah, so I'm actually just starting my first semester of grad film at New York University. So that's going to be a busy next, 4 years. So I'll be making a lot of short films through that.
Well, we look forward to seeing them. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. We really enjoyed it. Thank you.
All right,
Thank
thank you
you
very
so
much.
much.